is that legitimate for a person of the left? The exemplar of the person of the left, the kind of our philosopher king, is Noam Chomsky. And Chomsky did demonstrate an interesting fact about, so to speak, human nature. He would speak for 2 or 3 hours at a time. And you know what? People stayed and listened. Their capacity for a reasoned argument is much larger than is sometimes thought. I think you know the story that huge crowds came out, stood on their feet for hours listening to the Lincoln-Douglas debates in our American history. And they were ordinary people, from the town who are for hours and hours standing on their feet. So the human capacity for listening to reasoned, factually based argument is much bigger than is sometimes thought. I remember this is not in any way to denigrate a man of such, I always describe Professor Chomsky in my mind as somebody, a stupendous force of nature and an indefatigable force for good. When I say indefatigable, you have no notion of the amount of time this man invested in email, in meetings with activists, in traveling here, there, and yon. I remember once he was going to China, and then he was going to Brazil. And his wife said, I'm not going to China and then Brazil. That's not going to happen. She had to drop out of this particular journey. So I will never say anything to ever in any way diminish him, a person of just once in a millennium distinction. But I remember he wanted I can't stand to listen to Martin Luther King because he wants facts. He wants argument. I remember, I won't name the person, a very prominent person. He was attending a meeting of the Middle East Studies Association, MESA, Middle East Studies Association. And there were 3 panelists on each side. One was Bernard Lewis, who was the foremost authority in the Middle East and blindly supportive of Israel. The second was the literary editor of the New Republic. His name was Leon Wieseltier, also a fanatical supporter of Israel. And I don't remember the third. And the other side was Edward Said, who was the spokesperson for the other side. Christopher Hitchens, and I forgot maybe it was 2 and 2. Maybe it was 2 and 2. And one of the persons spoke, and I remember, and he was very eloquent, complete mastery of the English language.
Guessing it was Hitchens.
I won't say, but I remember Chomsky saying, I didn't attend the event, but I remember Professor Chomsky saying to me afterwards, quote, I don't see how he could persuade anyone. Because there is something to be said there, that you have the hope that rationally you can persuade people. But I don't think through just verbal dexterity, you can actually persuade people. Martin Luther King had a very different style than Malcolm X. Malcolm X, some of his arguments were crazy, especially in his Nation of Islam years. But he didn't rely on verbal pyrotechnics. He did not. He tried to make arguments.